I just want to invest in people that really want to be the best that they can be. Hi guys, it's Todd Scrima and the lovely Robyn LaVassaur and Jimmy Reed the GOAT. And we are doing a podcast for loan officers this month called The Work It Takes. And listen, we went from a $4.4 trillion market the last 2 years in a row to perhaps the worst market we've seen. I was talking to Jim and Robyn yesterday, 2 different calls, and I said, hey, I think this is officially the hardest market I've seen. And I say that for lots of reasons. There's lots of things going on. Yes, inflation. Yes, increasing interest rates. As we're recording this, rates went up the most that they went up since 1985 or something like that in 2 days. So it's a lot. And there's a lot of shock and awe. Now, what I will tell you, and I know this sounds like Todd positivity, what I find...
Well, I need some Todd positivity after that. I'm ready. Give it to me, brother.
We'll take some positivity.
What I find is we go through, I call it the dip, and then you're in the hard, which our hard may last, say, 6 months from now or a year from now or whatever. And then there's bigger and better opportunities, and there are opportunities along the way. But it doesn't...
Dude, hold on. There's more opportunities in a tough market than a good market.
That's my point. There's way
more opportunities in the next year and a half than there has been in the last year and a half. It was easier to make money in the last year and a half, but there's more opportunity right now.
100%. So the work it takes, because we are going to work a little bit differently in different markets or try different strategies and different activities. So Robyn, give us an overview of your thoughts on this, because I think a lot of people are scared, shocked, awed, all the above.
Yeah, when I think about the work it takes, we're pretty well knowledged, and we'll talk about some of the basic work that it takes. But I want to talk about some of the things that I actually was listening to a story about Kobe Bryant. And I just want to share it for a second, because I think it's so incredibly impactful. It just hit me how much grit that man had, even though he had arrived. And so a lot of people have never seen a tough market in mortgage. Plenty of people in this industry right now have never seen a really tough market, right? They've never seen rates like this. So there is some shock and awe. In addition to that, you've got inflation and just all the dynamics. Kobe Bryant is somebody that you guys might know this story. A man came to interview him one day, and he said, hey, can I interview you? And I'd like to interview you during your training. I'd like to watch one of your trainings. And Kobe said, well, it's 4 a.m. 4 a.m. is when I start my workout. And the guy said, okay. And he said, I thought I'd be there early to meet Kobe Bryant at 4 o'clock in the morning. And he says, and I show up, and at 3:30 a.m. as I'm getting out of my car, I can already hear sneakers squeaking on the basketball court. So I go into the gym at 3:30 in the morning, and Kobe Bryant is in there, and he's already sweating, and it's just his pre-workout, and he doesn't even have a ball in his hand. And he's not just running. He's literally pivoting.
Yeah.
He's boxing out. He's running backwards, right? He's doing all the footwork that it takes to be an incredible basketball player. And the guy says, hey, Kobe, why are you working out without a ball? Like, why are you working on pivoting? That's such a basic. And he said, you're the greatest player in the world. And Kobe winked at him and said, why do you think I'm the greatest player in the world? So I think one of the things that is so important right now that a lot of people are saying but not doing, there's a huge difference, right? They're thinking about it but not really acting on it, and that is doing the basics, which is making those theme day calls, seeing people face to face, all of those things. But the last piece that I will just throw out there, and Jimmy, you can add to the basics in your coaching style, but is one of the things that he said your typical basketball player, pro level, works out 2 times a day. They come in the morning, they do about 2.5 hours of aggressive workout, they take a lunch, a little bit of a breather, relax, and they come back and do 2.5 hours in the afternoon. That's your typical pro player. Kobe Bryant does 3. The world's greatest player does 3. He always did 3 so that he did 1 more than what everybody else was doing to ensure that he would be the one that won. And in this market, It's that unseen work. It's that 4 a.m. workout.
Wow.
It's that stay 1 extra hour in the evening. It's that come in on a Saturday and jam out 2 hours of phone calls to your clients. It's showing up at extra open houses, maybe drive into that last one when you're tired. The unseen work, in my opinion, is what's going to get you through a market that's a little bit harder, where it's not raining mortgages, but it's a beautiful opportunity because most people don't have the unseen work in them.
So can I counter you, Robyn? And I agree with everything you're saying, and I think it's great.
Just hold on one second before you do that. If you're listening, I just wrote down something to do. Like if you're listening to this, get a piece of paper out and take some notes and write down things you intend to do. It will dramatically increase the chances of it happening. And then share it with somebody else and put it in your calendar, and it will again dramatically increase the chances of it happening. Go ahead, Todd. I'm sorry. I just got a really good nugget.
Good point, Jim. I'm just saying. I'm just in all transparency. I think 80% of the loan officers that will listen to this are like, Robyn, I'm no Kobe Bryant. I don't need to close 20 loans a month. I'm just trying to do 3 or 4. I'm just trying to pay some bills. I don't want to work that hard. I really don't. Like,
Good.
I'm just telling you, most people, how they approach business and life is a little lazier than, it's a lot lazier than what you just said. So what do you say to them?
Go get a 40-hour-a-week normal job then, because you shouldn't be 100% commission and not want to put in, entrepreneurs take all the risk knowing that they're going to fall on hard times and that you have to do the extra work to get through them, or you lack purpose. And so what I would say to that, and this is going to sound really harsh, is that if you're like, I only want to do this if it's a few loans and it's pretty darn easy. This isn't the market for you. This isn't the industry for you, because there's no purpose behind that. When there's purpose behind what we do, even 60 hours doesn't feel like 60 hours, because we're committed to helping people. It's not just about how many loans we close. It's really about the purpose of, do you believe in what you're selling and who you're selling it to and what it does for their life? And if you have that, 60 hours doesn't feel like anything if you're committed to the outcomes that you're going to get at the end.
Yeah, what you're saying is you can't coach desire. And so for Todd, for me, so many people enter our business, or when you talk to them and say, I want to make a lot of money. And I think that everybody who's in here, almost everybody who's in this business, does want to make a lot of money. And that's okay. But if it's the only reason, it's a hole in your soul that will never be filled. No matter how much you stuff in there, it'll always be a big old hole in your chest. So you have to attach the desire part to something else. For Robyn, it's more, I don't even know what the word is, altruistic. It's to help people. For me, it's to compete. For whatever it is for you, it is. But it has to be something in addition to the money to get you up in the morning.
Yes.
Right? For me, it's points on a scoreboard. And I know it is for Robyn too, even though she may not say it. For me, it's points on a scoreboard. It is. And I get irritated when my points aren't as much as they should be, or somebody, like one of the biggest motivation tools I've ever had in my life is to see somebody in my industry that I know I could do what they do and probably a little better, and take better care of people and lead people better than this person. And I personalize it, and then I get driven, and then I do the work. So whatever it is for you, you got to find something in addition to the money. Otherwise, you just go, wow, I had a really good 2 years. Yay, me. And then you just don't do nothing.
Yeah. Let's touch on the basics. We try and keep these short, impactful, full of content, because I think sometimes I was reading a book last night, and the book is like this thick, and I'm like, I think I could rewrite this book in like 1/10 the content, right? So that's what we're trying to do with this podcast here.
Can I talk about the basics for 2 seconds, Todd? Okay, just for 2 seconds, I just want to say this out loud, you guys. I think that one of the things that is so incredibly important right now is that when Jim mentioned the money piece and there being a hole, when you are just doing the basics right now out of fear or obligation to make it, it is very much felt on the other side, right? And that means phone calls or appointments or meetings. When you don't really have more purpose, that when you're more focused on the outcome than the process, then you're automatically almost going to fail, because we can't control outcomes, right? We can't control outcomes. We can only control ourselves and the activity that we choose to do and how we do it. right? Kobe Bryant said, I learned to fall in love with the basics. Like, are we in love with it? Are you in love with coming to the office and picking up the phone and figuring out whose life you can impact that day? Who can you connect with? And if you're instead saying, how many people do I have to call to check off of a list? That's a basic, but a basic with knowing that you're loving and doing the process and not worried about the outcome. The outcomes will come if you're in love with the process, right? But if you're not in love with the process and you're only worried about the outcome, it's not coming. That's the truth. I think it's a really, I think it's a huge miss overall in the industry right now. And people go, I made all the calls, but they're only making the calls to get an outcome. That's it.
Well, Robyn, I agree with you. My comment on that is you would have to be a very self-aware person to know the difference. Like,
yes,
it would take you, like, if Jim's my client and Jim and I do business together, maybe he's a realtor, and I'm either calling Jim to say hi because it's part of my checklist, part of my basics, or I'm truly interested in calling Jim and catching up with my buddy and seeing how I can make him some more money and put some deals together. It's very different. I know what you're saying. I don't think that most people are self-aware enough to know the difference.
Well, you're just saying be interested.
You're exactly right.
That's all you're saying is be interested. Be interested in other people. You can fake it for a little while and then it'll become a habit. I can tell you that. It's not something like, oh, I'm not really interested, so I'll never be. That's not true.
I just talked to a loan officer the other day. She was struggling, Jimmy, and she was doing all the work. And she was like, I can prove to you all the work. And she could prove every bit of it. And I said, what are you focused on when you're doing the work? And she said, well, getting a lead, getting a relationship started, getting the business, right? Yeah. And I said, what if you focused on what just them the whole time, just focused on them the whole time. You just were interested in them. She went back. I'm not joking. This meeting with her was 2 weeks ago, little less than 2 weeks ago, actually. And literally she's in the hot seat because she's not doing any business. And I look at the production report yesterday in my meeting at the office, and she's got 3 books locked and on the deal, on the pipe. 3. I text her, I said, girl, do you have 3 loans on the books? And she said, yes, it's working. It's not just the activity. It's literally the purpose behind the activity that matters. It's really loving. One of the basics of sales is listening more than you talk, being interested, right? People have gotten so far away from some of these things because they haven't had to use it all that much in the previous market conditions.
Come on, Robyn. I was just in my robe making $500,000 a year for 2 years. What are you talking about?
I know I shared this story sometime on one of these podcasts. The Pepsi guy at the grocery store. I worked at Lucky for 8 years. And there was a Pepsi guy, and I can describe him to the day. He was freckled. He was an Asian guy with a super straight hair, super nice guy. And I worked at displays on the weekends. And so we worked together for years, and he was really good and everybody loved him. And we had this manager and he was not a very nice man. And he was a good profitable store director, but he was not very much fun to be around. And I'm like, dude, how do you handle him? He's like, partner service repair. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? He's all, when I meet with him, I'm looking to partner with him and make him more money, service him if everything's going well, and fill the shelves. Or if he's mad at me, I repair the relationship. So when
partner service repair, write that down.
Partner service repair. Every time you're in front of someone, partner service repair. If you're a loan officer and you're meeting with realtors, yes, you need to be friends with them, and you need to find something to partner with them in to make you both more money. Yep. This is down to a businessman's business again, right? It was a salesperson order taker business for a couple of years. I'm seriously sick of talking about it. It's over. Stop talking about it.
Yep.
This business is a business-to-business relationship. Yes, it is about what can you do for them. Yes, it really is. Yes. And in exchange, you get paid. Yes. And if you don't like realtors, hallelujah, get out of the way. I'll take care of them.
Yeah, guys, let's segue in our last 2 minutes we got left to talk about basics, and just we'll go around the horn twice. This is super basic. For me, I meet 2 people who can send me business today face to face. I meet with a borrower that I can potentially do a loan for. every day, one person. So that's my 3. And in order to set up those meetings, I've got to spend 2 hours every morning. Used to be 1 hour, now it's 2 hours because of market conditions. 2 hour power hour every day making calls in order to do that. If I meet with 3 people a day, face to face, I'm good in any market. That's my basic. Robyn.
Yeah, my basic was meeting with 3 people face to face every day without fail, and at a bare minimum doing 25 impactful phone calls. I think sometimes we get caught up in a lot of numbers. For me, it was literally trying to get, more than half of the 25 people are leaving a very impactful voicemail on the phone and then doing the follow-up with it.
Okay, so calls and visits. Jimmy?
Mine's I don't want to go too deep. You got to follow the sales process, right? So the 4 steps: initial contact, build rapport, close, and follow up, which is what Robyn was talking about. You got to remember those 4 steps every time you're in front of someone. But for me, it's 6 open houses and 6 offices a week. If you walk into the same 6 offices every week and you never give up, and you do 6 open houses every Sunday after church and you never give up, and you just stop by for 15 minutes at each one of those that don't take long, and you follow up on Monday and set meetings with the ones that liked you, and you did it for a year, what would happen?
Love it.
If you just did that, what would happen?
Yep.
You'd do 3 loans a month, even if you sucked.
For sure. For sure. You're exactly right. You would for sure, regardless of rates can be 15%.
Even if you were a terrible salesperson, if you followed up and you went inside, somebody would like you and you would get business if you just did that.
There is I think this is appropriate to close a little bit with, Todd. Stress doesn't come from circumstances. Stress comes from resistance to the circumstances. Mm-hmm. That was said today in a podcast I listened to, and I was like, and then it said, focus on being in the present, because when you're focused on looking at the past or worrying about the future, you're literally missing your opportunity that's right in front of you, right? And I think that a lot of people are so stressed about the future right now that they're missing what they just need to do. You show up, turn on the lights to the office, and put on your game face and go to work.
Love it. Listen, guys, we could cover more stuff, but it's not necessary, right? and the secret is really what Robyn ended with. So, guys, it's so many people, they spend so much time worrying. And this is saying the same thing Robyn just said. So much time worrying. If we just do the work, then we feel better and we get success and you build confidence and you get out of that super fear mode. So that's really what the basics is about. It's not, you can apply those to Kobe Bryant. You could apply it to eating. It's kind of universal truth. So very important in our business, and there's timing to everything. This is the time when things get really hard. To me, that's where the only way that you get out of it is to develop better skills or more skills. That's really the solution. So what we're summarizing is some of those skills around the basics that we just got to do every single day. And if I didn't have my 3 people, I can always stop by a home builder's office. I can always walk in a real estate office. I can always cold call someone. So when we say hold yourself accountable, you're the only one that can truly do it. Okay. Robyn, Jim, thank you very much. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great month. Bye, guys.
Yeah.